going on? We are talking to Born and Raised, a band from my neck of the woods. So, without further ado, guys, let's do this.
Hey, what's going on, man?
All right, man. So, first of all, thank you guys for being patient with me. Something everybody probably doesn't need to know but will know is that my bitch ass was late.
Oh, it's all good, man. We're musicians. We're used to it.
Oh, so on that note,
Yeah, we're usually late.
what I mean, the first thing I'm kind of curious about. Wait, I think I screwed up. Whatever, it's all good. It's more playtime for y'all. So the first thing, what's going on with your singer situation? Because I noticed that y'all. I think the last video I saw from y'all, your singer like moved on to other things.
Our previous singer, we decided to part ways with. We're having some issues kind of working together with him, so it was kind of one of those things where we decided to part ways. So that's kind of how that ended. We are still currently looking for a singer. We found a guy that actually works pretty well for us, but after about a month and a half, he got an offer to go to Hawaii.
Aw.
He's going to be making up his own hours, making six figures.
Oh, Jesus.
His family gets to spend more time with his kids, and so it's one of those opportunities where we don't blame him for leaving. I mean, it's a really good opportunity.
I mean, that sounds life changing.
Yeah, that's one of those life changing events. So we just, we are still recording a couple things with him. We've decided to record kind of like a 5-song EP with him before he parts ways in about 6 weeks. We've got 2 recorded right now, and we'll probably be releasing a single here shortly.
So is he here with us right now?
He is not. He's actually out on the road. The dude,
I think he's in California.
is he in California?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he transports art across the nation.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
actually a pretty cool job. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, yeah. We were like,
Right.
what?
Real expensive art too.
Yeah.
I'd do that in a heartbeat.
It's
So-
celebrity art.
So then I'm curious. What singer were y'all on for The Heat'll Kill It?
That was our previous singer, not the one that we found that we're working with. He's going to go to Hawaii, but the one before that, he was with us for about 3.5, 4 years.
Damn. And
Yeah.
and he's the one. So I guess he's the one. I saw y'all played Gas Monkey. Is that right? Is that like the?
Yes.
Is that the bar, or is that the venue that's like a little bit down the street from that?
Actually, we played Gas Monkey Bar and Grill and Gas Monkey Live.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Like headlining or what?
Well, we were main support for touring acts. We played with Texas Hippie Coalition and then Cowboy Mouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I guess then I'm just gonna ask probably the most fanboy question ever is, what's that like? Because I know I've been there and I've seen people like Gojira play that, and I've always wondered like what the experience is like playing a venue that big.
Well, me personally, it's a fantastic venue. They definitely have their shit together. They a lot of lights, a lot of great sound. What we weren't used to is, small things like their stagehands actually helping on and off with gear. And they gave us like our own little plenty of bottles of water on the side of the stage that we asked, and they were like, yeah, of course, that's y'all's. What you don't even have to ask. So
What? Did they feed you?
they do at Bar and Grill.
Yeah.
Yeah. They take care of their bands there. Plus, you always get paid at the end of the night, regardless of who came, what day it is.
So, does it, like back in my day, I mean, not like I'm really like anybody to be fucking talking, right? But The thing was they paid you based off like how many drinkers you bring to the venue and then overall turnout. Is that still the case, or do they just pay you like a flat fee now, or what's up?
A lot of places that we play, it's like that. More the out of town gigs are a little bit more flexible, and they usually pay you for rolling through. But Gas Monkey Bar and Grill is definitely one of those venues that they don't care. They take care of you regardless. They still want you to support the national acts, and they give you tickets to sell, but they're not as hardcore about it. I mean, you can do a deal where you get $150 guarantee plus free food, or you can go the ticket route and see if you can sell so many tickets to get paid.
So, okay, so that's kind of mind blowing, right? So a venue that large, you're talking about grill or live?
That's bar and grill. Live
grill.
is a little bit different. Live is more ticket sales.
Okay.
Although they're not as hardcore as some of the other venues.
So I imagine, well, it's probably not a pool, is it? Like, do the supporting acts spread their ticket sales, and then like the headliner gets whatever they get?
I'm willing to bet that, headliner's going to get the guarantee regardless of how many tickets are sold. But local acts and supporting acts are either going to get a guarantee also, just like a smaller one, or the local acts are most likely going to have to pay the tickets.
I gotcha. So, you said something earlier that, so just so y'all know, like, I feel like I know some things, but definitely not even near like 25%. What were you saying about the like a guarantee or something like that?
Yeah, guarantee usually for national acts, they'll have a guarantee on the road, so they'll come to an agreement with the venue that they're coming to that they get a certain amount regardless of who comes. Sometimes the venues will pay them a bonus if the bar makes a ton of sales. Some venues will actually give you a percentage of the bar, but it's kind of rare on that.
I wish.
Yeah. So it's much better to be the national act rolling through, making the guarantee. But sometimes venue owners skimp on the guarantee, and then that's when you get into arguments and all this other stuff. So.
Ugh. So then, what's touring like for y'all right now?
Well, touring, since we haven't had a chance to work with a singer, is pretty non-existent. Although, we're usually doing local tours. We've gone out to California once, and that was nice. But mostly local gigs around the region. Up to Oklahoma, down to San Antonio and Austin and Tyler, Waco, Nacogdoches, Houston. Yeah. So.
Okay, so this is something I'm kind of curious about. So, y'all don't seem like the kind of people that are pretentious dickheads and like make being in a band hard.
Well, thank you
are?
for that.
Oh yeah, we are. We're doing nice right now.
Awesome. Well, it was great talking to you. I'm out.
We've covered a lot of ground, shared some laughs.
But nah. So what I was gonna ask is, are y'all familiar with a band like Nothing or Russian Circles?
I think I've heard of Russian Circles. Have y'all heard any of those bands?
Russian Circles sounds familiar.
I've heard of Nothing More.
Yeah.
So here's why I ask, right? So Russian Circles, they're I think like a 3-piece band, and Nothing is like a 4 or 5-piece. But
okay.
Nothing is basically just the dude mumbling shit, and it sounds good. He's not really like saying anything. And then Russian Circles is 100%. They just go into it, and it's good music to lose your mind to, right? So. Gotcha. I'm hearing, so the reason why I kind of picked The Heat'll Kill It is because that to me kind of says these people don't really need a vocalist. So have you given it any thought touring without one and working like on this EP, working on more instrumental, like I guess fully progressive metal, or like why don't y'all ever do like instrumental stuff?
Well,
Giving it thought for sure.
yeah, we're not giving it thought.
That's a hard sell here.
Yeah.
If any of us could sing, we would do it.
Yeah. I know that when we started out as a band, we did our first 6 months instrumental, and we just had too many people telling us that we needed a vocalist, and so that's why we decided to go that route.
Not even Dream Theater goes full instrumental.
That's true. So yeah, I mean, we've considered it, but you know, especially since we have 2 albums, both with vocals on them, you know, we'd be stretched for material in there. But it's something that we probably need to talk about.
Well, I mean, the thing I'm kind of curious about is, so, and I even hear this in Heat. I'm just going to call it Heat because I'm a lazy speaker.
Yeah, you're good, man.
Yeah.
It's like you do progressive metal, but you have like an old school sounding, like hair metal almost. Like the singer in that one, almost, because he does those like like whatever the fuck it is.
High vibrato.
Yeah, so like, are y'all experimenting? No, madam. See, only when I start doing this do my cats start fucking around.
Yeah.
Are y'all at a point right now where you're like, you have a cohesive idea of what you want your music to sound like, or are you more at a point where you're a bunch of dudes, which I'm gonna kind of editorialize and say have like solid music skills and are feeling things out? Because it kind of seems like you get, well, I haven't heard what you're doing with this guy that you're working with right now, but it seems like y'all are kind of exploring the genre right now to not sound fart sniffy or pretentious.
Yeah.
The songs are kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say that. That's why I tried to say explore the genre, but I mean, yeah, that's...
We write in a broad spectrum of different genres to, you know, the idea being, you know, casting a larger net to, you know, catch more fish, so to speak. But, you know, whoever comes out to our shows is usually enjoying at least, at the very minimum, one of our songs. Even if they're not a huge fan of heavy metal, one of our songs will catch them.
So what's your turnout right now? Is it more y'all are hitting venues and you get the crowd that's there, or do you have a draw yet?
We've got a draw here in Dallas, and I mean, it really depends on where we go. But I mean, everybody that's at the venues seems to enjoy the show. They come up, they buy merchandise, and you know, we retain people that you know, come up to the stage. So that's kind of how we judge it on.
Six Flags love us.
Yeah, the people at Six Flags love us.
That's another thing. I'm glad y'all brought that up, because that's another thing I wanted to ask you about. So like, how tame do you guys have to get to play somewhere like Six Flags?
Well, they're surprisingly open to our genre, as long as, you know, we don't have any profanity on stage, and, you know, we're not throwing beer bottles at each other and stuff like that. They're pretty accepting. I think they're trying to be open to the genre too. Plus, I mean, we are what we are. We try to please, you know, multiple people, again, with the gigantic net of influence that we throw out there.
So, I mean, are they just as professional at Six Flags as they would be at somewhere like Gas Monkey? And have y'all played smaller venues like RBC or anything like that?
They tend to be, I guess, as professional as they can be at Six Flags. There's one sound guy that absolutely knows what he's doing and can, you know, fix things on the fly, but sometimes it's not as good.
Well, they're also focusing on, you know, the thousands of people that are just there for rides and scamming them with side games.
Side gig,
yeah.
yeah.
You can't expect it to be as much of a focus at a place where it's all about getting rides running.
Yeah.
It's really hot.
Yes.
It's hot as shit.
Just that one was hot.
Yeah.
No, they were both hot. The one just like made it way worse.
Yeah. We basically melted on
Oh my
stage.
God.
It's terrible.
So do y'all ever get like so sweaty and like gnarly that you're just not like your fingers start hurting from guitar and stuff like, or like the drumsticks slip?
Oh yeah, man. But
Yeah.
I mean, we just power through because you know we want our music to be heard, and we agreed to play
Sure, yeah.
a certain amount of music for them. So we
Is
try
that-
to hold up our end of the bargain.
So
Just
I'm
worry
guessing
about
they just say, hey, we want to book you for a 30-minute slot here on this day or something like
at
that.
Six Flags, it's 3 30-minute sets,
Okay.
kind of back to back, and they give you a 30-minute break in between.
So then how does it work at a traditional venue?
Traditional venue, they give you either 30 to 45 minutes. If you're unlucky opening up for a national, sometimes they'll give you 20, 25.
Yeah.
Generally 45 is the norm.
Yeah.
So, okay, and so then let's talk about that, right? So, how long did it take y'all from the time you formed to get to the point where you were opening for national bands, and then like how do you develop that relationship?
It took us probably 2 to 3 years when we were first starting out. Maybe like 2, because we did some pretty
We
decent.
had some pretty good opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some pretty decent opportunities. A lot of it just came with overtime. One of the singers that we had before kind of introduced us to the Deep Ellum music scene down in downtown Dallas, and from there we kind of branched out and never left. It takes a lot of work in the local music scene, supporting other bands, getting to know all the different players and all the different booking guys and the venues. We've played pretty much everywhere in Dallas. We played RBC a bunch of times. We played Curtain Club. We played Trees. Reno's has been a home for us for a while. We played O'Reilly's. We played what was that? Dirty 30.
Have you played The Door?
Yeah, actually
Okay,
a
then you're
handful of
somebody.
times. Yeah. We played Wits End and Boiler Room down there when it was still open. It's now called a Punk, I think. But yeah, we played all over Deep Ellum.
So, and you said you went to California. Have you done any like Austin, Houston, or maybe like Oklahoma or Arkansas shows?
Some of the places further out, like Arkansas and even Louisiana, has been kind of out of our grasp. Something that we've had our sights on. We see bands that we know go over there and play shows, but it's really about contacting the venues and being able to talk with somebody on the other end. That's a big struggle because you can't always talk to somebody. You can have bands give you a recommendation or give you a phone number, but
Right.
they're automatically gonna want you to impress them before they invite you down for a show.
So then what's more important, the relationship with the band that theoretically gets your foot in the door, or the relationship with the promoters and the bookers?
It depends on the band, depends on the promoter.
Yeah, some promoters are shitty people,
Yeah.
and we know plenty of those people. But if they're the ones that hold the key to getting in certain venues, but then again, knowing bands and being able to book shows with them, or a lot of times we'll do show swaps with other bands from out of town. So they'll come and do a show on our side of town. We'll book it and get everybody paid and everything, and then they'll do the same on their end of their town, and we'll go out there, play a show, and they'll take care of us.
So then, so like, I hate using this term or whatever, right? But I guess you would call me a YouTuber.
It's all good, man.
And so, some of the things we do is we have they're basically called collabs, and we, like I did a sit down with a dude named Foxtrot Ray, and then that helped him get his word out about a game he was building and stuff like that. And then other than that, like we have like topic calendars that we share as a group and stuff like that. So like we have tricks that help us generate content and stuff like that. So I guess what I'm wondering is, what are what kind of tricks do bands have to help safely, I guess, expand their reach and stuff like that, if that makes sense?
Don't be a dick to other bands. That's kind of an important one.
That's cool. But
Be a dick to the people who run.
yeah, that's for sure.
Don't piss off the sound guy.
Don't piss off the sound guy.
Yeah.
Don't piss off the door guy. Make sure that the bar is making money. Sometimes that's kind of out of your hands, but
Even if you have a shitty show, you go up and you say, "Thanks for having us,"
Yeah.
and actually seem like you appreciate being there.
yeah,
Well, they just want to have professional acts that aren't going to trash the place and are going to try to give credit to the people that are working to get them stage time and all that stuff.
yeah.
So
So
like,
it's huge on building relationships. A lot of networking involved.
in I mean, for my edification, what does a non-professional show look like? Just tearing up the bar, or is there something a band can do? Like what would a band do that would make you
Heavy
say
drinking, borrowing equipment.
Have you
fucking
ever-
with the sound guy?
Have you ever been to a party and you brought a friend and they just got way too trashed, and then you had to apologize profusely for them?
yes?
It's that.
Yeah.
Like, if you have to apologize for any of your members,
You're on a bad.
yeah,
bad
that's not the best way
Yeah.
to maintain a good relationship, because most of the venues will remember, if nothing else, your band name, and they'll tell other venues. They'll be like, "Hey man, we had those guys."
Yeah, they'll tell other venue members too, because a lot of them are in the same network.
Yeah, if you're pissed off one night and you're letting it show that you don't want to be there, they're
Yeah.
gonna notice. And they're gonna be like, "You're kind of bringing everyone down."
Yeah. Well, it's also band etiquette, man. I mean, like, you don't play over your certain allotted time. You try to cordially, talk with the bands that are playing that night. And a lot of times when you do that, my experience has been that when you get there, you don't know any of the bands. Everybody kind of sticks to themselves. But once you play, that's when some of the other musicians come up to you and be like, "Hey, man, that was a good show," or "Hey, what'd you do there?" And then you kind of build relationships on those guys. Or at the end of the night, it's kind of a group effort that the show went well, that sort of thing.
Watching other people's sets too.
Yeah, you
Oh my god.
being a
yeah.
musician, supporting the bands that are playing that night, even if you're the only one in the crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't have an expectation that anybody's going to stick around and watch your stuff if you're just outside, like chatting, like at the bar drinking, like in your car. Like there's so many people I've seen like at venues where the band just kind of like shows up for their set and then kind of like disappears, or is just over at their merch table, doesn't really interact with anybody, and it doesn't leave anything memorable. And that's the whole point of this is to be memorable, write something memorable, be a memorable person. Like
Yeah.
So if your music's all over the place and your singer always changes, which that brings up another question I was kind of curious about. But so then what's y'all's like memorable? What do y'all do to be memorable?
Just be professional on stage, play the songs as best as we can while we're there, be cordial with people before and after the show, and support everyone there.
Hold up. God, that blows. The connection dropped.
No.
I'm waiting for it to show up on the dashboard. It's going to be like, "Hey,
Does that mean I have to
fuckface."
get dressed again?
No, sexy. You stay the way you are.
Nice.
Okay, I guess it's not going to pick that up. So, so basically know your material, and I imagine you guys. So, oh damn. Oh, okay. So, like, kind of back on the singer thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys as musicians, so like semi-silent members, how do you keep your band from being defined by the musician? Like, are y'all familiar with Ghost?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so like I kind of like what they do in that they change up the front man, but it's like his shit. It's still him singing and stuff like that. So
Sure.
like, is there anything a band can do to stop themselves from being associated with their singer and like be able like what's that like?
It's kind of a tricky question.
Indeed.
Our singers predominantly in the past have, been pretty straightforward. We've, treated them as equals. Collectively, we play, solid sets, come up with new material to play there. We try to keep the show interesting by, throwing in a cover or an instrumental that people aren't going to expect, or, that sort of thing. Have one of our friends in a different band come up and do a guest spot. But singers in our band traditionally have not defined our particular band. I mean, some of them, or they all had very good things to bring to the table.
Well, I mean, I know Homeboy, his range it seemed kind of fucking nuts.
Yeah, Nate, he was kind of like the higher vibrato singing. At the time when he came on board with us, we were happy with his style. The feedback we got from fans was kind of like 50-50. It was either it sounded awesome or not my style. The guy before him, Jason, was more, I guess, pleasing to the ear for most people. His singing ability wasn't as good. His screaming was awesome. It's just as we wore on, his screaming out, did his singing, especially during the shows, and he'd get winded, 2 songs in, and then scream everything else, even though some of it was singing. So
yeah. So, I mean, going through a number of, and I mean, like, I'm not saying this like it's an issue or anything, but like, so having gone through a number of vocalists and having vocalists of different styles, what if anything did you take from that in considering the person you're working with now? And once this guy does his thing, what are you going to do? How are you going to take what you've learned from your previous vocalists into your music and your next vocalist?
Okay, the video kind of cut out there for a second, but I think I got the gist of the question. Basically, we're trying to move away from our previous singer, the one that was on The Heat'll Kill It. We liked his vocal style, but we're looking more towards, I guess, the direction of our first album. Still singing, but not.
Uh-oh.
After being in a band with a few different singers, we've kind of learned to, I guess, identify some problem areas of theirs, or
you see the red flags before
they
happen.
Yeah, and I mean, it's all given us kind of a criteria to look for our upcoming singer. We've had, amateur singers. Our previous one, Nate.
I lost you.
Band etiquette and that sort of thing. So, you just learn as you go, and safeguard yourself against things that you fell into before.
So in safeguarding yourself, does that mean, do you ever change your music for the, I guess, like the pool of talent that's out there? So would y'all ever consider making less aggressive music if you know you can't recruit someone who can sing as aggressive as the music you want to make?
Oh, there's always someone.
Yeah.
We just got to find them.
Yeah. Music style or towards a particular audience. It just comes to us and we write it the way that it is. we're always influenced by different bands, and our roots in music, we believe, kind of show in the records. But we're probably not going to change our sound to cater to anybody, because that's what has it's helped our identity as a band and our sound that we're going for. It pleases us, so therefore we put it out there hoping it'll please other listeners.
Well, but then how does that work when you go to Six Flags? How do you play a song like The Heat'll Kill It?
We actually just played it the exact same we normally do. There's no profanity in that, so we were able to just play that from beginning to end, like the record.
Surprisingly, a lot of children really enjoy the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all are cutting out pretty hardcore.
Anytime you're saying the rhythm is going to drive almost anything, and that connects people over almost anything else, like vocals and stuff like that. When you're really sitting down and listening to a record, you get to the nitty gritty of it. But if you're just walking by a Six Flags, it's easy to get into a really good, solid groove.
Yeah.
Well, so I'll say this much. As a dude who started going to concerts in my late teens, I can totally see why the younger kids are probably connecting with so, like, full disclosure, I was actually just casually listening to y'all's music earlier today, and there were certain points, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call them breakdowns, but they were like where y'all really hit your hard grooves. And in those moments I could imagine being at one of your shows and there's either like a wall of death or a mosh pit going on. And I mean, to me as the listener, that says if I go to their concert, chances are I'm going to lose myself during that concert, and then probably for hours after I'll have that like post-concert, like I can't hear, I'm coming down from the endorphins of being a jackass in the crowd, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
man,
That's the goal.
yeah.
Well, and I mean, we're all fans of music too, and we do the same thing. And I mean, we're constantly, I know I am constantly taking notes on how to be better, how to, put on a better show.
I don't do that.
Engage people.
God, what a piece of shit.
People learn from me.
I don't read the script. The script reads me.
What does that mean, man?
Yeah.
So then what do those notes look like? Like, what kind of notes do you take for yourself?
He takes actual notes.
Yeah.
I see him.
Have you read his
they're
diary?
just, things on what not to do, things to include in your show that would be cool. You present them as a band, and if it works, it works. Or if the guys want to try it out, it's cool. If not, we move on to the next thing. That's pretty much. Always trying to improve on what we got.
How it usually goes is in the practice room. Say, hey, I was thinking about doing this. Someone else. That's retarded.
Yeah.
Well, can we at least try it? Yeah. All right. No, that actually wasn't bad. Let's keep doing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do y'all try it in the practice space before you take it out to the stage and just kind of like assess it as a group, or do you just go full Monty and try something live?
Usually live.
Yeah.
Past we.
So like, what's an example of that? Is that like jumping off like amps or whatever, or?
Yeah, we made these big ass light boxes. They're heavier than hell.
Yeah.
But they light up a certain way, so we're like, okay, you step on it and it shines a light above and through the box. So we try and like, all right, this would be a cool part of the song to do that on both sides, so they both light up.
So then that brings up an interesting question. How much of the money you make from... What's up?
Oh, he's just saying he leaves that to me.
The
I'm
money.
a big fella.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so here's what I was going to ask is how much of the money that y'all make, or would you say an average band based off your experience, how much do y'all put back into your act, so things like those light boxes and stuff like that, and then like what addition to your stage show got you the best results?
It kind of cut us out on us there, but I'm thought I heard you say kind of the finances and how we divvy that up, and then
well, not even like divvying it up. I'm more curious about like how do y'all decide? Okay, like this is what we're gonna get for the show, but then this is what the band is gonna get for the show, and then this is what we're gonna do with it, and then like how do those choices pay off?
Yeah. Hello.
You there?
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It all goes back into the band.
it all goes back in the band, and we collectively, like the way that we set up our band is a democracy, so we vote on certain things. So if we need more T-shirts or a T-shirt design, we all, either have one created and vote on it, or that sort of thing. It's all a voting process. If you get outvoted, then members.
Okay, there you are.
Did it cut out again?
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, you know what? This is what happens when you do an internet show. Sometimes things just, I mean, I'm not salty about it. So, I mean, the gist of what I heard is you're democratic about it. You put 100% back into the band, and I guess that makes sense considering y'all probably all have day jobs. So you're good there. And my other thing is so do y'all ever, let's say your drummer needs new cymbals, like just for him, he wants like a more a dirtier crash, and then like a couple, I think they call them like ride cymbals. So like how do y'all like what's your mindset going into that, where you're like, okay, we're gonna buy this piece of equipment or this piece of an instrument or whatever, and it's really only gonna benefit you, and if we disband or separate ways, we can't really do anything with 3 fucking cymbals? Like how do y'all just like accept the loss, or is that something bands are like cognizant of as they go into it?
Well, I mean,
we all just kind of take care of our own rigs. If I need a new amp head, I put that on myself. I don't look towards the band to like replace it for me.
yeah.
Cut out. You cut.
Becoming more often. Oh, there you are. Yeah, did you get any of that?
No, I didn't. What's up?
Oh, he said,
For the most part, we all take care of our own rigs. So I don't expect the band to buy me strings or picks.
I think y'all's internet connection. Your connection just fucking hates me.
yeah.
I mean, it's what. Okay, so basically, it sounds like the money you make, you only use on things that improve the band as a whole. So if someone like if you want like a warmer sounding, like, I think cabinet is the right word for that, like if you want so you'll go out and buy that yourself, and you'll bring that sound into the band the same way if the drummer wanted like a grittier, more aggressive sound, they would go out and buy their own like cymbals or what have you. So then what about stage items like the light boxes? How does that work?
Well, I didn't hear anything about the light boxes, but yeah, you're correct that, I mean, if our drummer wants a different China or a different ride cymbal, he's going to go out and buy that himself and bring that to the table and see how it works.
And what's a China?
It's a different cymbal.
Okay. So what kind of sound does it make?
Fox, what kind of sound does a China cymbal make?
Splashy and trashy.
Splashy and trashy. So I guess that's a cymbal that doesn't have a lot of it's got a lot of attack but no decay.
Connections being a little bit of an issue. Would it be easier to call, man?
I'm not set up to. I mean, not in this capacity. Here, you know what I could do? Let me try something real quick, right?
All right.
Let me. Someone's being a salty little bitch. See if I have this set up. Do y'all have Google Hangouts?
I don't believe so. Google Hangouts.
Like if you have a Gmail account.
Yeah. Oh.
It's in there. We just never use it.
Oh, I guess. Damn it.
So let's try this. Can y'all switch over to your Hangouts account?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to make an account, but I can do.
No. Let me see if I gotta get a phone number off this real quick. Phone call. I'll call myself. 40. Bam. Show me what my number is. Oh, fucking thanks, Google. The one time I want Google to share my information, the phone call is anonymous.
Of course.
Oh, you're the worst. Let's do settings. Ooh, I know what I can do.
You go to the screen with your account.
I'm trying to pull up the Gmail. You can just do Hangouts.
Did you go to Google homepages? You know, all little boxes up there.
Right.
Click on that. It should be in there somewhere. The drive and documents and all that.
Yeah. That's over yonder.
Hark. What utility doth yonder window have a thing? Oh yeah. 4510. Verify. Got him. All right. So call that diddly.
Ah. All right. Stand by, sir.
Gracias.
I'm losing members. They're going outside.
Hey.
Do.
Hello. Please state your name after the tone.
John from Born and Raised.
It's me, fuckface.
Yeah.
All right, you there?
Yes, I am. Cool.
Okay, so let me do this. Boom. All right,
Yeah.
say words real quick.
Say what?
Awesome. Okay, so that works. So
Okay, cool.
okay, so what we were talking about before, for those of y'all that are not 100% on it, we were talking about how like money works in a band. And the thing, so what they were saying is basically, as far as gear goes, each musician brings their own equipment to the table. So if they want to evolve their sound, that's on them. Now,
Yes.
Money, as it works for a band, the band as a whole, you're saying that basically 100% of the show money goes back into the act for your band. So I'm curious how you guys decide what you're going to buy and why. Like, is that a democratic process, or do you have someone who's particularly in charge of that kind of stuff?
We use it for, you know, major things like we're going to do tracking for a new album, merchandise, so shirts, wristbands, picks, like to give out and stuff, and that is all. You know, everyone has to agree on, you know, if we want a new T-shirt design, what songs we want to track, album artwork, things like that. So it's a long,
Yeah.
argumented
it can take a little bit longer, but at the end of the day, everybody's on the same page and agrees, and everybody's happy rather than having arguments and, you know, getting upset with one another.
So what's most important if you were to give advice to any kind of band starting out right now, what would you say is the most important thing for a band to have? You know, instruments, no shit, but like, what's the most important thing for them to have on stage with them to help the crowd get into their act?
Well, professional gear, man. I mean, when we started out, it was like, you know, 25 and 50 watt combos, but now we're up to, you know, half stacks, so pretty larger amplifiers. Some people go the
backup instrument.
Yeah.
Yours just decides to take a massive crap on you on stage, which has happened before.
Yeah. You know, we've had gear cut out on stage or not work, and you kind of have to analyze it and figure it out and then try to keep going or get started on time. And so, yeah, definitely having a backup guitar helps, especially if you snap a string on stage in the middle of a song. You can just grab your other one and keep going.
Do you ever become numb to that? The horror that is screwing up in the middle of a set?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. You know, it's unavoidable. Our band has experienced our fair share of, you know, gear fucking up or, you know, a cymbal snapping or, you know, the drummer's kick pedal coming undone. So
Learning to adapt to a situation is key.
yes, that is key.
So, okay, so talk to me about this, right? Your sound, I will say, like, full disclosure, it's not like I've sat down and listened to everything y'all have done, but from my perception, it sounds like when you guys, like, as you guys have moved on in like your musical career, things have gotten tighter and cleaner, and I would say more aggressive without being something like Suicide Silence or something like that.
Yeah.
So what is it like? What is a jam session like, I guess, for you guys?
Well, a lot of times we're preparing for other shows. So, you know, we put together a set of music and then we practice it over and over again. Right now, Brooks is our new bassist. Say hi, Brooks.
What's up, man?
Yo!
We're getting him caught up on other material when we're not practicing the set list that we have coming up on in August on the 18th at Curtain Club, shameless self-promotion. You know, we jam from time to time and see what comes of it. If we get together to, you know, start a writing process, then, you know, we jam a few things. We jam some songs or riffs that we've, you know, worked on our own, and present them to the band that way. See if they work, see if the guys like it and want to pursue the song, and then start writing that way.
And do you guys find yourself in the glorious position of having excess material?
Absolutely. One of the things that we dealt with our previous singer was his inability to write at the pace that we were producing music. He was slow is to give him some leeway, but yeah, we work at a certain pace, and it's not very fast, but, you know, if we give you a song as a singer, we are hoping that you'll have something for us within, you know, 6 months for one song. So, you know, I don't think that's too much to ask.
I mean, what's their responsibility in terms of writing? Like, how does that work that you have? Like, how is there a need to keep up?
We write things with our singers, and the way that it's kind of come about is when new singers get in our band. We've only had 2 before Rich tonight. excuse me, 3. But we have a lot of material, so we have to get them caught up. But then once we get them caught up on all the older material, we start working on new material with them. And, we are open to the writing process if they want to, throw an idea our way, or, most of the time we come up with a song and we want them to write lyrics to it.
Is that normal for most bands?
Some bands, the singer comes up with something, and
we'll adjust. If we write out a whole song and then present it to the singers, we let them know, like, hey, if you think we need to extend some parts, if that'll help with the, some idea you've got. So I mean, it's not like we're going to say, this is how it is, write to it, and nothing else.
Yeah.
So we're flexible with them.
Yeah, we've our previous album, including The Heat'll Kill It, was structured a little bit differently, and Nate, the singer that's on that track, had some changes, and so we made the changes in the song, and we were happy with the changes and moved on from there.
So it sounds like while Nate wasn't complete shit, there are definitely some things that y'all weren't happy about in terms of his writing ability and his vocal performance. So how do you guys, what's it like trying to give constructive feedback and like, or do you not? Do you just say, look, dude, these lyrics suck ass?
Constructive criticism,
It usually comes before that point.
Yeah.
If there's something that any one of us are doing that someone's not vibing on it, they'll say, hey, not really feeling it, try something like what you're doing, but just a little bit different. And we're all pretty easygoing to where we'll be like, yeah, you know what, I'll try it. And collectively, if we all decide, hey, that does sound better, then, we move on. With previous singers, they've been pretty resistant to constructive criticism.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work well for anyone.
Yeah, that's kind of been a struggle because they take it as a personal offense, and we're not trying to come down on them or criticize them for their work.
I mean, John tells me I suck all the time.
Constantly.
And I don't take it personally.
Yes.
Because it's true.
I got to keep him level, man.
I mean, but are you doing anything to improve after being told so much that you suck? Like what happens post bro you suck? Like what do you do then to make better?
Well, first it starts off with a nice solid fuck you, John. And then I take a good hard look at what I'm playing. And then well, what can I do to make it better?
Now, let me throw the disclaimer out there that we don't tell any of our band members we suck.
Bullshit!
Not seriously. In jest, yes, in jest all the time. But yeah, I mean, if Carlos has a particular thing that I'm playing that he wants me to change, he'll
try it.
Yeah, that's something that we try to do in our band, is just at least try it out, see how it sounds, and then if it doesn't work, then we'll scrap the idea.
So, how do you guys, this is me just being curious as someone who's like a fan, I guess, because I wouldn't be surprised if I see you playing a show somewhere and I'm like, yep. But what, I mean, are y'all open to doing things like concept albums, or maybe putting out a conceptual EP, but also just a straight instrumental, to see if y'all can cultivate a following, kind of like what Animals as Leaders has?
Yeah. We haven't considered doing a straight instrumental just because we already have a record ready
to go
for a vocalist. Yeah. So that's kind of where we are as a band, is looking for somebody that can come in, knock out a whole album, be able to put that out there with a new vocalist, fresh and brand new. I mean, pretty early on after we, bring them on board with us. But we've toyed with, actually our first album was kind of a weak attempt at a conceptual album. It had, a lot of songs, and the first and last tracks were kind of linked to the idea of the album title. But we haven't really made a Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, or that sort of approach towards our music. Because all of our songs, they all kind of sound very unique and are from different points of view, and different people in our band write them, and we all kind of collectively add ideas to it to make it a different song.
So kind of like a maybe meta type question, and I asked my last musician guest this. So I was listening to a rock band called Young Husband, and I was kind of hearing how they used layers and a variety of instruments to accent what they were doing with various instruments. One would complement another in an accent on another layer, whatever. I'm not going to try and speak a way I can't. Do you guys when you guys are in your practice space and you're jamming out new ideas, do you ever think along like a structural line where you're like, okay, we have this riff and, one track is going to be, the bass following it, maybe chord for chord, but then we're going to come in and we're going to throw like some distortion on it, doing like complementary chords to make it sound like a little fuller or something like that? Like, do you guys ever give thought to the technical side of your music while you're jamming, or is it more just this shit sounds good, so this is what's up?
A lot of our layering comes in the recording studio. We'll come up with an idea and we'll, write out a complete song. And then after that, we'll kind of fine tune some things or layer, basically complement what's going on the best that we can, or make it a little bit better. And then even once we have a finished product in that regard, we'll take it to the studio, and, ideas will jump out at us, and we'll try out a couple things and see if they work. And
we don't follow any set formula.
Yeah.
It's not, A, B, C, solo, A, B, C, A, done. We don't really do that.
A lot of our different. Yeah, a lot of our songs, have that particular formula, but we don't, write out a song like that ahead of time. It's just we let the music kind of take us where it needs to go.
So how long does it take you to turn around an album?
As far as recording it or just coming up with it?
I guess just both. Like, if you do, I don't know if y'all are at a point right now where you do like tour cycles to like promote anything you're doing, but like from the time you decide to start writing till the time it's up online for sale, how long does that take?
Well, it could take a lot sooner. Yeah, it really depends on our vocalist, and has for a long time, because our most recent recording, those are songs we've had for a long time, and we decided to just go ahead and lay down the album so that a vocalist could come in and take care of it. Now, it took us probably about 2 months to get everything tracked and ready to go, and then after that, our vocalist at the time, on our previous work, the one with Heat Will Kill It, took he was not ready to go in the studio, and so we said, all right, well, we're trying to get in there by the end of June, and end of June came around, he wasn't ready, so we said, okay, into July rolled around, he wasn't ready, and so we were like, all right, well, our sound guy is going to go on tour with his band. He's leaving in the middle of August, so that gives you a couple weeks to get that prepared. He still wasn't ready. And so we waited until our sound engineer got back. And when our sound engineer got back, we were like, "Are you ready to go in the studio?" And he said, "Yeah, we'll see what happens." And so
is that common?
It shouldn't be. I'm sure some bands. Yeah. Yeah, studio time is expensive. So I don't want to say that it is common, because most bands, have their singer ready to go, or, has been with their project for a long time. And so he's got lyrics to those songs ready to go. And when you go in the studio, it can take anywhere from, a couple weeks on some people's albums, depending on how professional they want the production to be. And then, a couple months, depending on the sound guy's schedule. Our sound guy is real busy, and so sometimes we track, a couple songs, and then, wait a week until he's ready to go again, and then, track with him again. But I don't want to say that it is common for most bands, because they're already the lyrics are already written by their singer.
So one thing I want to ask you is, do y'all master? Does the person who's in the studio you're working with, I imagine they produce and work with you to arrange it, but then they master it as well, right? Or do y'all just use the studio for the equipment?
Well, we usually use the studio for tracking, and then whoever tracks it usually mixes it. But it's always good to get a fresh pair of ears on the music after that to get it mastered. So whoever tracks it, listens to the songs over and over again, and they can get used to certain things or miss certain things. And this is just possibilities. I'm not saying it's every time, but the benchmark is usually you want somebody else to master it.
So and that's an excellent lead in to what I was going to ask is, does someone else, do multiple people touch your work? Because my impression listening to it is, the music part of it sounds like it could be a standalone thing all by itself, but then the vocals on your work kind of not in terms of the singers of the quality, but in kind of the production value or whatever, they stand out from the song. So when I'm listening to The Heat'll Kill It, for example, the music, it sounds like anything else you would hear from a high dollar super ritzy studio. But then Nate, I think is his name, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good, I'm remembering things. He comes in and his vocals sound too clean. There's no trace of the room that he's in. There's no atmosphere to his tracks. There's no it sounds like it's not even really mastered or anything, touched at all. It's just this is the cleanest source we got. So why is that? Because I'm noticing, is that just a lack of skill on the side of the person who's engineering the session, or is that the style?
For that record, I know that he was a fresh vocalist, and when he came into the band, we already had that album ready to go, and so he came in, he did his tracking for a few weeks. It really depends on whoever's tracking it to, they may tell us, hey, I want his vocals to be forefront on the record to where it doesn't have any layering or any atmosphere, like you were saying, any room, because it'll sound better that way. And that's, a subjective statement, but when we heard the tracking and what our engineer did to it, we personally thought it sounded pretty good, and so we ran with that. You'll notice that on our first record, Ghosts of Tomorrow, it was a little bit different, and the guy that did this particular, or the Epic Prologue, the one that Nate's on, he did the same record with us. He was the one that tracked those two.
Ghost of Tomorrow, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, which album number is that?
That was our very first album. It was a full-length 13-track album.
So then, again, more curiosity. Help me understand that choice stylistically, because in your music, your bass is thick, your guitars are very crisp, and so I guess I mean, for what they are, like, I know you use distortion and stuff like that. I'm just saying, like, the quality of the guitars are very crisp and, like, well done. So what, like, I mean, I could have a plebeian ear and that's just what this is, but it's like, what's like you said, y'all thought it sounded good. So, like, describe to me what that's like hearing that through your ear.
There's a lot that goes into it, man, because on our previous record, the Epic Prologue, we were happy to have a new vocalist, and so we were happy to have those tracks. We may not have given it as much time as we probably needed, but as soon as we got those tracks, press them down, and then before they go to mastering, we listen to them over and over again on small speakers, on computer speakers, on earbuds, on headphones, on large speakers. So we're listening for a lot more than just the vocals in that regard. We're listening for nuances and things that the sound engineer may have missed, and just to make sure all the levels are correct. And that can be challenging in itself because if you miss that, then it gets pressed down and goes to mastering, and that's on there forever. And that's another thing that, there's so many things that we've done we've listened to our records for years, and there's things that we wish we could have put on the record or came up with later on that we were like, that could have been cool if I put that there, but once it's pressed down, that's the end of it, and it's
it is what it is.
It is what it is, man.
So then what are y'all, so tell me about what y'all are working on now. Like, what's different about it? What's it been like making it, like all that jazz?
Okay. A lot of the songs we've had for a while, they're brand new. We're happy that we got a chance to track them. And so when we dealt with the lack of production from our old singer Nate, we had to let him go, and the tracks just kind of sat there. Our mentality was that by the time he came up with lyrics, we'd have a new singer, and we could get them caught up and have a new album with them on it. But since we had those songs for a long time, we recorded them. We re-recorded one song from our first album and an acoustic version of another song from that album, which is something that we've never done before. We never recorded an acoustic version of anything.
Yeah.
So that's kind of brand new. Plus all the new songs, we got a couple tracks that are instrumentals, just short instrumentals. But we're just right now the tracks are sitting there. We've tracked 2 with Rich, and we're shooting to track 2 more with him before he leaves for Hawaii. And we're going to release a 5-song EP towards the end of this year. At least that's the goal. And when we're done with that, we have 5 in the bank ready to go. And we're another reason why we tracked the ones that we did for this upcoming album is because our drummer of 7 years decided to move to California with his wife and kind of seek a different career out there. And so we wanted to make sure that those tracks that we worked on for the last 5 years were recorded and we didn't lose those ideas because we thought they were pretty good songs.
Well, so then so correct me if I'm wrong, you said outside of what you're working on with Rich right now, you have songs in the bank, right?
Yes. We actually meant it to be a full-length, 10-track album, but what we're going to do is we're going to cut it in half since we started recording with Rich, and then he told us that he's going to be moving. We've had to make a lot of decisions and discussions as a band to figure out what to do next, and the general consensus is we're going to track 2 more songs with him, release it as an EP, and that way we have something to put out there for people to let them know, hey, this is what we've been working on for the past 2-3 years. And from there, we'll look for a new singer for the rest of the tracks, and we'll probably end up recording 5 more to add to that to make it another full length.
Well, and that's, I guess, what I was going to ask is, so, what's the plan to deal with the tumult? Because I feel like if you're going to get a new drummer or you already have one and they have to learn the old person stuff, and that's not necessarily an issue because a cymbal is a cymbal, a tom is a tom, they sound the same. But what about the vocalist, right? So do y'all have to, is it harder now that you have a catalog of music behind you to find a good singer just because they need to be able to go in and sing the earlier works from your catalog? Or are you really just going to kind of be like, okay, you're our guy, this is what we're doing moving forward, and then you just kind of drop? Because, you already have 5 songs down, so I imagine that's at least a 30-minute set, and you want to add 5 more so you can play a full hour. Like, what do you have to do to compensate?
It was kind of twofold. When we find a new singer, we'll get them caught up on the songs that we are expecting them to record for the upcoming album first, so that we have new material to present when we go out and play shows. But you're right, that's only going to create a certain amount of time to play those. But once they're caught up on those, we will probably supplement with some of our previous work. And usually it's kind of up to the discretion of the singer what they want to do or what they think is the best for them. And then once all that's taken care of, then we can write new music as well as get them caught up on old material.
And so at least I don't think I have heard anything from Rich yet. So what's his style like?
Rich, yeah, he is all over the place. In fact,
he's got a pretty good range.
He does. He fits our music better, I can honestly say, than any singer that we've had. His voice is a little bit more raspy. I struggle because we have a rough cut of a track from the album, but it's unmixed and unmastered and hardly even edited. But I can send that to you so that you can listen to it.
Yeah, I'm down for sure, and I won't share that. Double fuck yes, I'm about that, because I like, my thing is, I really feel like a good vocalist is going to be the thing that sets y'all apart, because y'all, and again, I guess just take this with a grain of salt because it's not like I play any instruments or shit like that, but like,
sure, man.
Y'all y'all just have your shit down so well. Like, it's not only the fact that you can play your instruments well, but the music you produce with them. I listen to how y'all double bass and your riffs and stuff like that, and it's more than just there's emotion to your song, and like, I could be wrong, but it really just kind of sounds like the music that y'all do make, y'all are genuinely into it, versus, hey, it's been 6 months, we need to get a new album out or something like that. So
yeah,
I'm curious to hear this, and I'm honestly kind of wondering what y'all think about your you know, what are you gonna do for your next singer? Because it sounds like all you can really do at this point is track with Rich, and then once he's out, you know, you're back to square one. So, I mean, are you going to try and find someone close to him, or is this more just going to be like, this is our piece of work? And
it's one thing about it being, you know, kind of upsetting that, you know, Rich is leaving is that it fits with us so well. But the flip side of that is now we know the quality of singer that we need to look for. So we'll have something to reference to while trying to find one. So it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, and since we're trying to move away from Nate's sound, it'll give people a fresh look at what we accepted with Rich and something that fit well with our band. Now, we are, you know, open to hearing what other vocal styles are out there, but we're not going to accept anything if it doesn't mesh well with our music.
We have a standard to go by.
There you go. Yeah, we're trying to.
We need good singers.
Yeah.
If we want shitty stage, we sing ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, Rich set the bar a certain height, and we're looking for somebody to match that or exceed it.
I mean, do you really think you're going to have much luck finding someone who can exceed it?
Well,
You never know.
yeah, I mean, we didn't think that, you know, Rich, you know, we didn't think we were going to get a caliber singer that Rich is when we first started looking. But, I mean, he hit us up out of the blue, and we had him out. We're very impressed with his audition.
Anything can happen.
Yeah. No, I mean, we're perfectly prepared to wait as long as we need to. We're patient people, somewhat. But, you know, looking for new members has never been – it sucks terribly, but,
Yeah.
You know, it's always been beneficial for us to wait on the right person.
So then one thing, and I'm going to ask you another question that I asked my other musician guest. So his name's Levi Weiss. He's a decent dude. Like, if for no other reason, he seems to know his stuff, so he might be someone y'all want to, like, talk to or whatever. Just name dropping, what have you.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of asked him where does, in your case, Born and Raised settle into y'all's lives? Like, what part of your identity is it? Is it like this, like, I work a day job to make Born and Raised work, or is this like in the hobby compartment of your life? Like, how do you guys see what you do in Born and Raised?
I'm going to actually give each member their own opinion on that, because I know that we're all doing different things. I know Fox is playing in another band called Pulse that he was in before us. But for me personally, you know, I have a job that gives me the freedom to, you know, shut down and go on tour if we need to. I personally believe that we have something unique to offer our listeners, so I want to, you know, coast on that, see how far it goes. So I pursue it with as much tenacity as anybody that would, that, you know, wants to get their music heard. I mean, you have to have a balance because I have a family also, and I don't want to neglect them at all.
Yeah.
So, you know, I try to balance my time as much as I can. We only practice like once or twice a week. But, you know, my wife and kids are, you know, perfectly aware of that. I don't put them on the back burner when I'm at home and or on the road for that matter, you know. So it's one of those things. It's tricky, very tricky to keep a band like this going with the direction that we're going in. But I treat it like a part-time job because it requires that amount of time.
I got you. So,
how about Fox?
I think we're all chasing the music.
Yeah, I think each one of us believes that, you know, there is something unique to our music that, you know, not necessarily is heard, at least not often in the music scene that we're in.
If we weren't playing this band, we'd just be playing in a different one.
Yeah. Now Brooks is our newest member, so he can kind of tell you where he is on priority level.
Boom, Brooks.
I mean, to dial back real quick to another question you asked about what it's like to jam together. It was pretty early on with these dudes that I realized that while, you know, Born and Raised is a rock band and a big pool of rock bands, this is the kind of project that a lot of musicians wait an extremely long time to get into, mainly because of the talent level. And like, while we do have a very huge variety of sounds, a thing I noticed immediately is when we get together and we jam and we're just warming up and whatnot, there's a definite feel and there's a direction to anything that we're doing, even if it's just jamming on something or working on something new. It's all very cohesive. And as a guy who, I mean, I set my life up so that I can dedicate most of it to music.
Yeah.
Like Carlos was saying, yeah, Carlos was saying, like, if it wasn't this band, you know, it would be another one. But to tie it back, though, this is the type of band that you do want to prioritize and you do want to maneuver some of your life around, because, like I said, we have such a variety of sounds. It's not just a one-trick pony kind of deal. There's a lot of growth that can come from the groundwork that's laid, and there's already so much there that if the right person was to come into it, then there's a lot of opportunity here. So
Where were you a long time ago?
Well said. Oh.
So, and then just, you know, one thing, I mean, I could go on for a hot minute, but I just want to make sure that, you know, there's nothing that y'all didn't want to talk about or bring up or anything like that.
Man, we have Curtain Club August 18th. We'll be out there for our buddy Jarvis's birthday, opening up for the Heroin, and they're a killer rock band. We played with them probably 6 years ago. Yeah, and 12 Years Driven from Houston. Yeah, those are our buddies that we've known for a while. But I mean, we have stories for days on things that have happened to us over the years. We've been together for over 10 years, and so, you know, I could tell you the story about how our drum set fell out of the back of our trailer on the way back from Oklahoma. And, yeah, in the middle of a tornado. I could tell you about the fist fight between our first singer and our bassist. I could tell you about, you know, our journey out to California and opening up for Dave Lombardo and Chris Poland and Nick Menza before he passed away. But I mean, those are stories for another time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you said the Curtain Club. That's y'all's next gig coming up?
Yes.
So, no, go ahead.
We're constantly seeking other shows and out of town opportunities. It's kind of hard to do without a singer. We kind of have to have fill-ins help us from time to time, but you know, we have a variety of fill-ins that have offered their services to us to keep us going. Friends that we've made in the music industry. You know, so we're grateful for that. One of them being Talmadge from Bad Blood and Jason Wood from 5 Billion and Counting and Goodbye Kilter. And our buddy Maxton filled in for us on a few shows out at Six Flags. And so, I mean, we're in it for the long haul. You know, we realize that it's going to be a minute probably before we find another singer, but we're going to keep on producing music, keep on writing, keep on recording, and I mean that's really, you can't stop. You got to keep on going. Can't quit.
So where can people find you online, socially, buy your music, stuff like that?
We are on iTunes. We're on Reverb Nation. That's where we post most of our shows. It's linked to our webpage, which is bornandraisedband.com. They can go to, if they want to stream us, we're on Spotify and Rhapsody. You can also find our music on Amazon. Yeah. So, I mean, those we're on, Twitter, Facebook. Yeah, all the major sites, Twitter.
What's your Twitter?
B&R Band. Yeah.
B&R Band. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like a solicitation, but also it makes sense.
You know,
Fantastic. Well, all right, man. I guess, I mean, we've been going at it for almost an hour and a half. So, I mean, I'm sure we all have.
We got a lot to say.
Say what?
We've got a lot to say, dude.
No, I mean, trust me. I could sit here and listen to y'all all night. I swear to you. If y'all are interested, feel free to do this again. If ever you have something you want to talk about, like I said, I could listen to y'all go on for hours. To recap for anybody who's listening, in 2018, what is this? July right now. We're chilling in July. Yep. They got a show coming up at the Curtain Club. They got a new album that's coming out with their singer Rich. Be in our band on Twitter. They have a website of their own name, and their music is available on iTunes, Amazon, and pretty much it sounds like most places you would buy music, huh?
Yes, you can I think you can find both of our albums on YouTube also. You just got to make sure you have the Born and the little ampersand symbol in the middle on YouTube. You might have to look up our albums along with it because John Mayer made a Born and Raised album.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
And that kind of sunk us down in the search rankings. But if you look for Ghosts of Tomorrow or the Epic Prologue, you'll find it.
All right. And what do you have a name for your next album for people to be out on the watch for?
Not yet, but I believe it's going to be Intermezzo, which is just kind of piggybacking on our previous album, which was the Epic Prologue. This one will be Intermezzo, and then we'll probably come out with something as like a conclusion to the three albums.
Gotcha. Well, guys, thank you, all of you, sincerely for taking the time to do this. I've enjoyed talking out of you. I love your music. And
appreciate it, man.
Dude, thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. And send me your email, and I'll send you that track, man.
Sounds good. All right, guys. Well, y'all have a good night.
All right. Thank you again, man.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.